Today it is all about the king of small headlamps versus a new contender on the market. Who that is and why I'm doing this test and comparison, I will let you know in just a little while, but the NU25 I would say is the king of small headlamps when it comes to the weight, the size and the performance. And I have a hard time seeing this new contender being a real challenge to the NU25, but who knows, right? Let's try them both out and find out. As a YouTuber, I get a lot of offers to do reviews on gear and most of them I say no to, but when it comes to headlamps I have a hard time saying no, because I just love headlamps. And
who doesn't, right?
But just to try them out straight out of the box, give it no context, so I decided to compare any new headlamp I get for review to the old famous NU25. Now a new brand, to me anyways, called Lumintop reached out to me and asked me if I could do a review on one of their headlamps. And if looking at the webshop, lumintoponline.com, they have a lot of different headlamps, lanterns and flashlights. But the one they sent me to do a review on is this one. The BR1 headlamp. We can just by looking at it see it is much bigger and then probably also heavier than the NU25. So let's start checking out the weight. With the included headband, the weight is 98 grams and without the headband, 73 grams. That is much heavier than the NU25 at 55 grams with the included headband and only 35 grams with the DIY headband that I use. So you can actually bring two NU25 for the same weight as the BR1. So the first round goes to the NU25. Let's start looking at the size. Side by side you can clearly see that the BR1 is much bigger than the NU25 at 60 millimeters wide, 40 millimeters high and about 35 millimeters thick. The NU25 is much smaller and actually only half the size. So again, this round goes to the NU25. The most important thing for a headlamp is of course the output and the battery life, and we all know that this is where we have to compromise a bit when we're choosing a smaller headlamp, but this time we're doing a review on a much bigger one, so my hope is that this is the area where the BR1 will shine. If we look at the different outputs, the BR1 has 5 different modes at medium 100 lumens, high 330 lumens and turbo at 440 lumens. The two last ones are auxiliary lights, a high at 120 lumens and a low at 10 lumens, but no red light. The NU25 has 10 different modes, but some of them are not very useful or anyway used in a normal situation, like the SOS beacon and the red flashing light, so let's focus on the 7 most important ones. First, there's a low 1 lumen, a medium 38 lumens, a high 190 lumens and a turbo at 360 lumens. And the red light has 2 modes, a low 1 lumen and a medium at 30 lumens. And it also features a white auxiliary light at 20 lumens, a very nice to have feature. The BR1 has a stronger output but lacks a few features like the red light on the NU25, but let's call it a tie. When you're looking at the BR1, you can clearly see why the BR1 is much heavier than the NU25, because the housing is bigger, but so is also the battery. Now let's look at the specs on the two and put them side by side for an easy comparison and see about the run times you get on the different modes. If looking at the max output, the BR1 at turbo 440 lumens, it has a runtime at 2.5 hours, compared to the max on the NU25, the 360 lumens, that only can be active for 30 seconds at a time before it turns off. Otherwise, it would overheat. The trend then goes all the way down to the lower settings and you get additional hours on them all. Normally, I find the 190 lumens and the 5 hours of runtime that you get with the NU25 perfect for hiking, but with the BR1, the medium setting at only 100 lumens gave me surprisingly good visibility when hiking, and then you will have as much as 8 hours of runtime. So when it comes to the battery life, the winner is the BR1. What would a headlamp review be if not showing you how they perform out on the trail in the dark?
The BR1.
Here you have the 100 lumens that are good enough for hiking. Here the 330 lumens. and the turbo at 440 lumens, followed by the 120 lumen and the 10 lumen floodlight.
The NU25.
The 1 lumen low is not visible in camera, but the 38 lumens is good enough to move around camp. The 190 lumens is good for hiking, and finally the 360 lumens turbo. The red 1 lumen is again not visible in camera, but the 13 lumens is perfect for moving around camp, and finally the white auxiliary at 20 lumens. For performance, well, both will give you adequate light for hiking and for moving around camp, but only one features a red light, so there is a clear winner when it comes to performance: the NU25. Before proceeding, and worth mentioning, is the sensor mode on the BR1. That means if you turn the headlamp on, in this case at 100 lumens, and then you press the sensor button, then you can just move your hand in front of the headlamp and it will turn off, and if you do it again, it will turn back on. That's a nice feature. The BR1 is possible to buy on Amazon or directly from their webshop at lumintoponline.com, and it retails for $29.99, so quite a cheap little headlamp and easily available. And if you add the code ROBERT5, you will get a 5% discount. And be sure also to check out their Instagram account and visit them on their Facebook page for more information. Now, the NU25 is not expensive at all. It retails now at Amazon and other websites at about 400 to 450 Swedish crowns, or about $40. I also to inform you that this is the old version of the NU25, and 2 new versions is about to be released, if not out already. As soon as they drop in my mailbox, I will do a review on them as well, so be sure to keep your eyes open for that one. If we now take everything we know into consideration and weigh the pros against the cons, is the BR1 actually a real competitor to the NU25? I don't think so. First of all, it is double the size and double the weight, and the slightly better battery performance does not weigh up to these big disadvantages. We have to remember that the BR1 lacks the red light, which I believe to be important not to ruin your night vision, and also when spending time out on the trail together with friends, it is a must-have. But is the BR1 a bad headlamp because of that? No, it is not. If you want a headlamp that has a good performance and that isn't too heavy or bulky and love the sensor function and doesn't feel the need for a red light, well then, there is nothing wrong with a BR1 from Lumintop. You will get a reliable and good headlamp for the money. But if you want to go as light as possible, with as many functions as possible, with a good enough performance for hiking and in camp, the NU25 is still king of all the small headlamps. So for ultralight hikers or you who values a low weight above everything else, the NU25 is the right choice. But what do you think? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm a bit crazy maybe? Or do you have better options out there that you prefer? Please tell us all about it by leaving a comment. But for now, this is it, and if you liked today's episode, take a look at these 2 recommendations on my other videos. Also do hit like, subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any future content. I hope to see you again next week, but for now, take care, safe hiking, and bye bye.